had this been about like their survival as a species and not just like, I want to be where the people are and feel what it's like to dance and shit.
I want to be where the people are. I know.
I think that would have been more compelling.
Perhaps I could use this as an excuse to go to those far-off planets with little polka-dotted people if necessary, and be able to talk about love, war, nature, God, sex, all those things that go to make up the excitement of the human condition.
I'm Captain James Kirk.
Spock.
Your move, Captain.
Jim Kirk of the Enterprise.
What's going on?
I'm James Kirk. These people are my friend and my shipmate. Leave my crew alone.
Out of the question.
How about that?
James Kirk.
It fits like a glove, Captain.
Oh, the bonehead ideas.
Gentlemen, I'm Captain James Kirk. Get out of my chair. Get out of it now.
My greetings and felicitations, Captain. So good of you and your officers to, drop in. Absolutely smashing.
Peldor Joy, everyone, and welcome to Humanist Trek. It's a Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead.
And Allie, I have big news.
Oh, what is it?
We became gym bunnies. Well, we're not gym bunnies yet. We're more like gym pigs. But
Yay, Jim Rats, I thought it was.
I don't know what. So I had to explain this to my 8-year-old. So gym bunnies are the, cute, fit girls that go to the gym and are all fit and cute. That's a gym bunny.
Oh, I'd rather be a gym rat.
That's my goal. I'm going to be a gym bunny one of these days.
I'd rather be a gym rat.
Okay.
Oh, well, congratulations. That's awesome. It's the first step. Just, keep it going. What is it they say? Like, if you do something so many times, it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
Like a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And it just becomes a habit.
Yeah. So Becca and I went together. She has health issues that make it harder for her to work out. It's that double-edged sword of like, if she worked out and got healthier, those health issues wouldn't affect her as much. But it's hard to do the workout because those health issues affect her that much. It's asthma and she's got a bionic knee. She had a knee replacement at 35 years old. Like, so she's gone through some shit. She rocked it. It was great.
Awesome.
Oh, and I will tell you too. I mean, I'm post-COVID. I'm struggling, man. My lung capacity is gone, and I used to not have that problem, and all of a sudden now, I get winded going upstairs, and so
it's pretty. Like, COVID was really recent, so
yes, this is true.
This is probably why too.
But doing the exercise is going to help recover from that faster too. So I'm excited. I'm really looking forward. I love that it's a thing that we get to do together, and that we can work at our own levels and our own paces, but also be there together and support each other. And I think that's
amazing.
It's great. Yeah, I love it.
You're inspiring me. I'm gonna have to go downstairs into my gym that I have in my basement and actually use it. So shame on me. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've never been an exercise person. Never. Notably, I was in high school, junior high and high school. My gym teacher was my uncle. Who also taught driver's ed and sex ed, BT dubs. Learn sex ed from your uncle. Awkward.
Weird.
Yeah, a little bit. But anyway, he was a PE teacher, and I pulled shit on him all the time. I didn't feel good. My knee hurts.
You probably got away with it too.
No, I got to sit in the bleachers and fuck off a lot. And I mean, I wasn't I wasn't an overweight kid or anything, but that bullshit, go out and run the mile around the track that we used to have to do in school.
Yeah.
I was huffing and puffing and walking and like, fuck this. I'm not an athletic fit person. I've never been. So this is a big life change. But, thinking about recent losses in my family and my dad, particularly my dad's, you think about the health factors that you inherit from your parents. So his heart problems and that kind of thing. And I'm like, I need to take care of myself now.
Yeah.
So
like you, I was not athletic at all. I was, last one chosen for any team.
Oh yeah.
That kind of thing. Like, nobody wanted to choose Allie. And then I think when late in life, I decided to make health and fitness a priority. And I did a short stint of competitive natural bodybuilding. So that was fun.
Yeah.
So, and and you guys are inspiring me to just get back into it, because there's something that happens to your brain, not just your body, but your brain when you're in there.
Yep.
And I think you're gonna love it, I think.
Yep. My daughter is also a very good, advocate and cheerleader. Unfortunately, she's not old enough to come to the gym with us yet. My son is. And so that might be a thing that we do. But here's the thing we haven't talked about yet. She wants to do her own podcast.
Oh, wow.
So we're workshopping children talking about humanism from the child's perspective kind of thing.
Oh, my
right?
goodness. That's going to be amazing.
So we recorded one yesterday, and we talked about the stages of grief. I kind of introduced her to that concept, and she got to think about, how do I apply this to situations in my own life and things that have happened recently. Right. And that was good. And then we talked about, because one of those stages is depression and ways to beat depression and how you handle it and that kind of stuff. And, physical illness or mental illness, either one. My mother always said, go outside, get some fresh air. Sunlight, fresh air. You need to, even if you feel like garbage, just go outside for a little bit and get some fresh air. So we talked about that, about getting exercise and how exercise releases these endorphins in your brain that help your mood. And so now she is cheerleadering us to go do these things. And she wanted to go on a walk yesterday after we had this talk. And yeah, it was great. I'm excited because here's what happened. We moved to Colorado, where weed is legal, and we've basically just become the biggest fucking potheads since Clerks, right? And so we are such stoners. We just lay around and eat and fucking get high.
But, when the weather's nice, we do go hiking.
We do. I know, but I've become much more sedentary in my lifestyle. When I was in Florida, I worked in a parking garage and I walked all over the place. I walked for a whole shift or whatever. Anyway, speaking of getting high, let's get our own LSD eyes going for this episode of Star Trek: The Original Series, Season 3, Episode 18, The Lights of Zetar.
Sir, contact with an object. It's moving toward us. No visual contact yet.
Deflectors, full intensity.
Sulu, yes, get anything on your scanners?
It's coming at light speed.
Collision course, visual contact.
Anything, over?
All wavelengths dominated by ionization effects, sir.
All engines full stop.
I know workplace fraternization. Some might even say I've been an expert on that particular subject in my time. And the captain's log voiceover that opens this episode overlays on Scotty and Lieutenant Mira Romaine in engineering. And while we can't hear them, I've written a little dialogue for them. Aye, lass, why don't we slip behind the warp core and you can slip up me kilt, if you know what I mean.
Oh my God. Scotty made the captain's log. I mean, that's how bad it was. Never mind what they're doing out there, in orbit of Memory Alpha. But Scotty, he's talking about Scotty.
This is the famous Memory Alpha episode. I had no idea until I clicked play.
I didn't know it was
going
famous.
In?
No.
Yeah, well, Memory Alpha. That's where we go on the internet, right? That's the fandom wiki or whatever.
Oh, duh, it is.
It's the library of all Star Trek knowledge.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, as Kirk is explaining what this planetoid is, I'm like, that's a little dangerous to put all of that data. So it's basically a space library.
Yeah.
And it contains cultural history and scientific knowledge of all of the planets in the Federation. I mean, that's a little dangerous.
Apparently, Lieutenant Romaine is a librarian of sorts. And Scotty's like, aye, lass, I'd like to romance your novels, if you know what I mean.
Oh my God. This is how it's going to go.
Okay. I think that's the last one.
Okay. Basically, they're going to be installing equipment on Memory Alpha, and then she's going to be there to oversee the installation of this said equipment.
Lieutenant Mira Romaine is played by Jan Schutten, who also had appearances on My Three Sons, The Outer Limits, Andy Griffith, Dick Tracy, the TV movie, Love American Style again, because
everyone was on there.
Charlie's Angels, and apparently she was in a shit ton of commercials back in the day. That's kind of what she was really known for.
Did you know, and you probably read this, the lady who did Lamb Chops was the puppeteer for Lamb Chops?
What?
Shari Lewis. She actually co-wrote this episode.
Oh, yes, that I knew. Yeah, because I got the Starfleet Academy cadet question thing right. I knew it.
Yeah, but she was trying to actually play Mira.
Really? I did not know that. Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Hi, Scotty.
Oh, no. You can't see Sarah, but she's doing the whole puppet hand.
Back to engineering. And sure enough, Scotty's sweet-talking Romaine. And then we get a weird Kirk voiceover again, and he's talking about Scotty falling in love and how he used to only have eyes for the ship's engines, but now he can't see anything but this week's Star Trek sex object. There's also a fun, like, that's weird, maybe not fun, but there's a shot from like above the bridge straight down, which is something that we don't get very often that I thought was odd. So on the bridge, Scotty's up at his station all doe-eyed and smitten with Romaine. Meanwhile, Chucklefucks, Chekhov, and Sulu are down cracking jokes. Chekhov's like, I didn't think Scotty would go for the brainy type. And Sulu's like, I don't think he even noticed she has a brain. Come on, guys.
Hey, this is why workplace fraternization is frowned upon. Because when Kirk calls Scotty, he's so all up in her shit that he doesn't even hear him. So it's distracting. You can't even do his duties. So Kirk has to call him twice to say, hey, snap out of it.
Kirk gives them some assignments. And Spock and Kirk offer congratulations and good luck wishes to Mira on her first Federation mission. And Scotty's like beaming like a proud parent or something. It's really not a good look, Scotty.
He's just so fucking smitten, like just head over heels.
But this is Star Trek, so we know it's not going to be that easy. And sure enough, the light on the forward console starts blinking, and they've got a bogey coming in hot. It's not Memory Alpha. Spock's readings indicate maybe a storm, but nothing like we've ever seen before. And more than that, it's moving at warp 2.6 and accelerating, which no natural phenomenon can do. So on screen, there's this floaty blob of flashing lights getting closer and closer.
Sparkly space cloud.
This I thought was a good example of the remaster being very true to the original. Like if you looked at the comparisons of this floaty light thing, they really did it justice. It also reminded me a lot of the Q orb in the TNG pilot. When it was chasing the Enterprise, right? It folded out into a wall and then it rolled back up into the little ball and chased them. It looked kind of like this.
Maybe that's where they got the idea in TNT. So this bright light starts to like blast the ship and everybody like puts their hands over their eyes to shield their eyes from it. Kirk goes to bark some orders and he suddenly can't talk. Like no sound's coming out of his mouth. And the only person that doesn't shield their eyes is Mira. So she's just kind of like staring up and looking at it. And then the camera pulls in really close into her like eyeballs.
I thought this was a really good effect. Yeah.
So you see the same sparkles of the sparkly space cloud in her pupils.
She got them LSD eyes. Lucy in the sky with diamonds.
The sparkly cloud finally goes away, and immediately Kirk snaps orders like, get the hell out of here, a full scan and a damage report. But just then, Mira slowly sinks to the floor, and her eyes are wide open. And of course, Scotty rushes to her side.
This episode kind of gets freaky from here.
It does.
She's all like LSD trip face with her mouth kind of slightly open, and we hear this muddy audio muffled sound kind of coming from her.
You know that sound your stomach makes when you've eaten something bad?
Yes.
I call it bubble guts. That is what it sounded like to me.
Oh, I love it.
And that was like, that sound my stomach makes when I've eaten something bad.
McCoy arrives and quickly determines what drug to hypo her with, and she starts coming around pretty quickly. And then Star Trek again demonstrates the problem with workplace romances. McCoy wants to take her to sickbay, despite her own protestations. She's okay. And Scotty's like, I don't know, cringy about this. He's like, now you just do what Dr. McCoy ordered.
Be the good little woman or whatever.
Yeah. And then when Kirk finally orders her to go to sickbay, Scotty's like, oh, wait, can I go with her? She is her own ass adult and she can take care of herself.
Scotty's like acting like a completely different engineer. He's like fucking brainwashed or
this
something.
This is totally out of character for him.
Yep. But she does put up an argument about going, she's like, I'm fine. I'm fine. And I'm just like, she's being a little unreasonably resistant to going. I think it's routine to get checked out when you fucking pass out on the bridge.
Right. So Scotty's like, well, wait, can I go with her? And this is an example of where I think I was a workplace romance expert. You gotta be chill, Scotty. Becca and I worked together at Disney for a long, long time when we first hooked up, when we worked together. And I don't think anybody knew it for a long time because we were chill about it.
Yeah, just be chill.
Yeah.
Don't let everybody know you're fucking.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's it.
Back to work. The ship seems fine now. And Spock has decided now that this was not a storm. The bridge crew all report different cognitive functions were impaired. Uhura was receiving a call from Memory Alpha but couldn't move her hand to pick up the phone. Chekhov couldn't move his eyes to look down at the console. Sulu's speech was impaired. And we saw Kirk's speech impaired. And Spock can only surmise that different areas of their brains were affected under some sort of pressure. And Kirk's like, or attack. And Spock agrees that might be more accurate. This definitely seemed like an attack.
And for whatever it was, Lieutenant Romaine, I want to say something about lettuce every time I say her name, but every time she seemed to be more susceptible than anyone because she was the only one who passed out in the whole ship. So back in sickbay, Romaine is laying on the table and McCoy and Chapel are doing some doctory stuff around her and everything looks normal. And here comes Scotty disobeying a fucking direct order. He's not even supposed to be in there. But everything's normal, and Mira is even just more agitated. I haven't had a single response worth noting. I can't, there's nothing wrong with me or whatever. And McCoy is just like, you passed out, and we need to know why. And she's like, well, I want to know why, too. Well, then why are you being very cooperative? Because they're trying to, like, figure it out. And Scotty thinks, well, maybe it's just, space sickness. It's the first time, that kind of stuff. And
this is another workplace romance moment. Mira says something about how, like, being exposed to a new all-powerful entity every week is something that the rest of y'all are used to.
Y'all are used to.
This is new for me. And Scotty's like, yeah, that could be something, huh? And McCoy's like, get out of my way. You are in the way here right now.
Yeah.
You got to go.
But McCoy's just trying to get information from her. Like, what did you feel before you passed out? She's like, nothing. And she's very defensive. And he tells her to stop being so uncooperative. And she wants to know what he's actually going to be putting in her record. And he should put that in her record, that she's being uncooperative. And if she has any hopes in Starfleet, she needs to have discipline and cooperation.
And she doesn't speak, but Scotty says, oh, I'm sure that's what she wants. She just didn't understand, right, lass? And the best line of the episode for me goes to Majel, who gets to do Scottish and says,
"Oh, this bedside manner like that, Scotty. You're in the wrong business."
And she pretty much didn't say anything else in the episode, but that was one of the most memorable.
It was so good. Great moment. Left alone now, Mira talks about how she wants to continue. Scotty reassures her, this is just getting used to being in space. That's all. And she says she hopes that's all it is. Back on the bridge, Sulu's plotted the path of what they're still calling a storm. You guessed it, it's heading right for Memory Alpha. They're unable to warn the planet, and they also talk about how libraries are kind of socialist, being freely available to everyone and purely academic in nature. So
but they don't have any shields.
So they didn't need shields. It's just a library.
But it's... I mean, this is where I'm like, wait, this is all the cultural and scientific knowledge that should be protected.
Yeah.
But sure enough, it has no protection, no shields, so they've got to rush there and try to see if they're going to be okay.
So the storm cloud really fucks Memory Alpha up, and they get there just as the storm cloud is leaving. Spock can't find any energy readings at all on the planet. Not mechanical, not biological, nothing.
Oh my God! They've killed
Scholars, researchers, and scientists from various Federation planets.
you bastards!
Kirk calls Scott.
He calls engineering, and nobody answers.
For Scott, and nobody answers. He calls several times, and he's going to head to the transporter room to take a landing party down there. And finally, Scott responds, and he's like, "Where the devil have you been?" And Scotty says he's in sick bay, and I'm just like, why didn't he go off? Because he's like, I told you not to go to sick bay. He's like, are you sick? What are you doing there? And he's like, no, I'm just checking on the lass. She's gonna be fine now. There's nothing wrong with her. And Kirk is like, really funny moment here. It's like, well, I'm glad to hear your prognosis, as if he's a doctor. And he's like, is McCoy there with you, or am I going to find him in engineering?
Again, workplace romance getting in the way of the work, and Kirk's showing his annoyance now.
Yeah.
And he does this thing in this scene that I just fucking hate so much. Kirk asks, how is the girl? As if she doesn't have a name and rank.
Yeah, so 1 minute she's a lieutenant, but most of the time she's the girl.
The girl, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Kirk wants Scotty to meet him on the transporter pad because he and McCoy and Spock are going to go down to Memory Alpha and check to see what's going on.
McCoy and Scotty leave to meet up in the transporter room, and as soon as they're gone, we get another close-up of Mira's eye with the LSD eyes, and this time the glowy lights kind of fade to show us now that she's seeing a dead alien of some kind.
In some control room.
We get a shot of Memory Alpha under a captain's log voiceover, and this was an instance of where they completely reimagined the shot for the remaster. The original planet was just kind of like a glowy red.
Oh, that's true. True.
And the remaster is like a brown desert kind of planet with this pentagonal moon base looking structure thing on its surface. Like they remade this from scratch.
I loved it. It was like a bunch of different little domes connected with, I don't know what you call it.
Tunnels, hallways.
Walkways.
Yeah.
And you could see it from orbit, and it was like, okay, yeah, I could see this.
KSM and Scotty materialize inside the library, and unfortunately, the generator is down, so there's no power for lights. And also, Spock determines that the central brain is damaged. The memory core is burned out. It's possible they've completely lost the library. This is why you have to do external remote backups.
Thank you.
It's not enough to have the data on your desktop. Like, you need to back it up to the cloud, too. When I worked in retail once upon a time, we did all of our books we did everything on QuickBooks, right? Which I still use a lot. And then at the end of the week, we would back that data up onto a zip drive. Remember those?
Oh my God.
And take it home so that if the place burned down over the weekend, we had the data.
That was way before the cloud. Yeah. And even that, though, was dangerous to take that home. What if something happened to you? What if you stood next to a magnet? You know what I mean? Anything can happen.
Scotty goes wandering off and pretty quickly stumbles on dead people, including the one we saw in Mira's LSD eye.
Spock finds a really faint life reading in the area.
Are we to understand that the ship sensors missed that?
Man, the ship sensors, don't even get me started, because the ship sensors are always missing life readings, and then they get to the planet and suddenly they find life readings. So
yeah, what fucking use are they then?
Don't even get me started. But Kirk is like, find the life reading and let's try to keep him alive, and we got to find out what happened and more about this enemy. So McCoy finds this poor woman on the floor. She's suffering clearly, and they all come running. And Kirk's like, can you do anything? Of course not. Of course McCoy can't do anything. But she's doing the whole mouth movement, and we hear the same bubble guts noise coming from her mouth.
This lady made some choices, this actor.
Well,
because when Romaine does the mouth bubble guts, she's just kind of like mouth, like jaw dropped, mouth agape kind of thing. And this lady is like,
she's all in,
all teeth and moving her mouth around and shit. Yeah.
She's all in, but she's, dying apparently because she's doing the whole contortion of her face. Her face turns like blue and green and red, and then she dies.
Oh my God! They've killed
The technician.
you bastards!
And unfortunately, there's nothing McCoy can do, and she died of brain hemorrhaging. All of her neural systems were distorted and just massive chaos up in that brain.
During all of this, Kirk calls up to have Romaine beam down. McCoy determines the cause of death of all of these aliens was this storm cloud attacking different parts of their brain, just as the Enterprise crew was each affected differently. What are the odds, I thought at this moment, that this thing's trying to communicate? And the killing of people is accidental. This is the moment I had that thought of like, oh, maybe it's just trying to talk.
Yeah, it's trying to access a certain part of each person's brain to see how it can communicate. So yeah, I mean, for sure. They did bring Mira in because this lady that died, had the same
bubble guts
issue that she bubble. I don't want to say that, but she said the same bubble guts that Mira had, and they wanted to bring her on. But Mira beams in after the lady's already passed away. And Scott is like, he needs to translate for her. It's another thing is like, Mira, the captain has some questions for you,
Yeah.
So he tells her when she was unconscious, she was making these weird noises. And Mira's like, well, what did I say? And they couldn't make it out because I guess Mira didn't even know that this was happening to her. But Kirk lets her know that this is exactly what happened to the woman that just died.
When she finds out that there are other dead people in the other room, she races in to look at them, and apparently confirming what she saw in her LSD vision, she's like, fuck, we got to get back to the ship and get out of here. That thing's coming back. It's going to kill us all.
And Kirk's like, tell me why ain't nothing but a holiday. But she somehow knows that the storm is coming back. And if they don't leave, they're all going to die.
And sure enough, on the Enterprise, another callback to the naval foundations of Starfleet. On the screen now, they've got this sonar-looking thing, map of the universe or whatever, with the circles.
Thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can kind of like, you see the cloud moving like, bing, 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 like the sonar. And sure enough, it's turned around and is moving back towards Memory Alpha now.
So they get in formation and they beam back to the ship.
However, on the transporter pad, KSM and Scotty materialize and Mira's not there.
They all get off and they just assume that she was there. And then they get off the transporter pad, go over to the console. And Scotty was the only one who said, hey, we're missing Mira.
That was a funny moment because he's just kind of looking around like, where the hell is Mira? Where's my boo? That was funny. If you go back and watch Scotty kind of background acting in that, it was so good.
And then Officer Kyle was handling the transporter pad. So Kirk's like, try to get her back. And Kyle has her coordinates, but she's somehow suspended in transit. So it's like they couldn't get a lock on her. But they do finally manage to pull her in. And she appears on the transporter pad, a little dizzy and all smiling because Scotty's right there to catch her. Gag. Come on, guys.
On the bridge, the storm has changed course, and it's coming right for us again. Spock still maintains that this can't be natural, but sensors are being affected by it. In engineering, Mira is telling Scotty about her LSD visions, and this is not a good look for Scotty.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely how women are often treated. She's like, this is fucking crazy, man. I'm seeing things. I feel this terror. And Scotty's just dismissing it all as space sickness or what. This made me so mad.
He's doing that thing that you do to other people when something strange or worrying happens and, oh, it's just your mind playing tricks on you, lass. And like, no, don't dismiss what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And he's treating her like the little woman again.
Yep. She finally relents, like, okay, if it's just space sickness, I don't need to report it then, right? And Scotty's like, yeah, I mean, you could, and then spend the rest of the trip in sickbay, but McCoy can't cure anything, let alone this. So
Scott's not a good boyfriend.
no,
Okay.
no.
Sorry, Scotty.
On the bridge, they make some standard course changes and some evasive maneuvers, but the cloud just matches them. But now it's just maintaining its distance and matching them move for move.
Creepy.
Mm-hmm.
They turn left, it turns left. They turn right, it turns right. And it's just there threatening, but no action. Kirk wants to know what Spock's analysis is. He's like, what is it? And this is when Spock says, not what is it, but what are they? And somehow, I guess with the increasing energy, they're able to now detect that there's 10 distinct life units inside of it. It's impossible to determine who they are or where they're from, so they have to do some more computer analysis.
I love this stuff too. We talk a lot about shows that show a predictive future, right? Like Star Trek or like Back to the Future, what they got wrong, what they get right. I love that 60s sci-fi assumed that in order to do any major function in the future, Spock would have to like feed punch cards into a mainframe or write some COBOL or something. Because when Kirk asks, who are these life forms? Where do they come from? Spock's like, oh, well, there's no way to know until I like completely reprogram the computer.
He's got to ask Majel.
Where now we can just go, hey, Siri.
Right.
Right.
But that was his way of asking Siri or asking Google or
it just
whatever.
took a long time. Yeah.
Right.
So we run through our options. We can't outrun them, and our shields won't protect against them. What about some diplomacy? So Uhura opens hailing frequencies, and Kirk says, this is Captain James Kirk of the USS Enterprise. We come in peace or whatever.
Or whatever.
He tries to explain to the aliens that physical contact between their species is fatal to us. And it seems for a moment like maybe they understand, because then they change course and put themselves directly in the path of the Enterprise.
Down in engineering, just as that's happening, Mira is going through something because she feels something and she just lunges herself at Scotty and says, oh, Scotty, hold me. It's happening again. And Scotty's like, Mira.
He's holding her and her eyes start to go all LSD again. But she says no and pushes Scotty away and kind of moves away from him, like she's trying to resist whatever it is. Back on the bridge, Kirk's like, well, when diplomacy fails, shoot. So they heat up the phasers and fire a warning shot in the cloud's path, but the cloud shows no change.
I do appreciate that he didn't just go all in. He fired a warning shot. Okay?
Right.
Like, hey, this is what we can do. Back off.
Yep. And they tried communicating first. Like, this is the proper order of operations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that didn't work. So they retarget phasers to the center of the cloud community.
Yes, options are up.
Yep. Ran out of ideas. Now let's shoot it. And down in engineering, this appears to have an effect on Mira, as if she's connected to these beings somehow, because she like doubles over and drops to the floor. And on the bridge, they're about to squeeze off another round, but Scotty calls up and is like, stop shooting. You're killing her.
He's figured out that when he fired the phasers, it's directly affecting Mira. So Kirk tells him to get her to sickbay.
Unfortunately, Spock's data gathering thus far isn't sufficient for the computer to figure out a defense. And this leads Spock to conclude the only possible defense is to find an environment that is deadly to the aliens.
Let's kill it some other way.
Right.
Like, basically.
Twice in a row here, Kirk says the girl. First, that we have to find an environment deadly to the alien, but also isolate the girl from its deadly effects. And then he calls down to sickbay and asks, is the girl well enough to be questioned? She has a name. This is so annoying.
They're not treating her like a person, but no. McCoy responds, yeah, I can have her ready in a few minutes. Like she's not even a human. So they gather in the briefing room for what to me seems like some sort of trial of some sort.
Yeah.
Like we've seen the different episodes when they about to court martial somebody like Kirk or something. And this is what I felt was the whole atmosphere was they're putting her on trial. They're all sitting on one side. She's sitting on the other being like interrogated.
You know what this felt like to me? This felt like a really uncomfortable HR meeting. So we're doing an investigation, but don't be frightened. You're not in trouble.
That's exactly what they did to her. Yeah, we're just here to get some answers.
We're doing fact finding. Yep.
Don't worry, you're fine. It's fine.
Fucking hate HR. So the idea here is to cross-reference everything they know about this alien life with everything they know about Lieutenant Romaine. And right off the bat, McCoy starts in on her life. Parents, Lydia Romaine deceased, and Jacques Romaine, chief engineer, Starfleet retired. So this crush on Scotty?
Oh, yeah.
She going after a man just like her daddy.
There's a whole psychological thing on that.
There is.
Anyway.
Speaking of psychological, her psych profile, they rule out psychosomatic illness, involuntary or unconscious telepathic abilities, and pathological or unusual empathic responses. But McCoy mentions they might compare a Steinman analysis that they conducted after they hit the aliens with the phaser, and one that Starfleet took before this episode of Star Trek, the original series.
McCoy also mentioned something. Even though there's no evidence of empathic or telepathic abilities, she does have the leanings of being extremely flexible and pliant to new situations. So basically, she's gullible, and that is what they found in her profile.
So in comparing, sure enough, the physical indicators all match, but the brainwave patterns are off, which should be impossible. But there on the little three-way view screen is what looks like Adobe Audition with a waveform file loaded. And again, Spock reiterates that there was no indication of telepathic powers. And just to be extra sure, he asks to confirm, is that the correct floppy disk in the drive? Because he's got another floppy disk with that exact same waveform on it, but that one came from the impulse tracking of this alien life outside the ship. So Spock inserts his floppy disk, and on the screen, we see the wave patterns matching up. And if you couldn't trust seeing with your own eyes that the brain waves matched, Spock asks the computer for an analysis, and she confirms they are identical. And that means there is definitely a connection between Mira and the aliens.
Their thoughts are becoming hers somehow.
Our minds are one, okay? Our thoughts are one, okay?
Just then, Sulu calls up from the bridge. The alien is no longer maintaining distance, it's closing in. And this is when Scotty has to fess up. She's tried to tell him all along that there's something going on, that she's seeing things like seeing the future, but he didn't say anything. And he's like, well, I just thought it was space sickness. Basically, he's admitting, yeah, he dismissed all of her claims. And now he's fessing up that she did see in advance the people dying on Memory Alpha. He thought there was a moment he said, oh, and there was something else, but maybe not. Maybe I was wrong.
I don't think I followed this completely.
I didn't either. I think maybe they skipped a scene. You know how they maybe film a scene and maybe they leave it out. And so this was referring to something else. But anyway, as he was explaining this, he was holding Mira in a weird way, like off to the side. And anyway, she also divulges that she did see something about Scotty, and Kirk presses her, what did you see? What did you see? And she says that she saw him dying. But she suddenly understands what's happening to her. She's seeing these things through the alien's eyes, and they're flooding her brain. And she'd rather die than have Scotty hurt.
And Scotty's all, stop talking about dying. We'll fight back. Dinna you worry your pretty little head. Sulu calls down again. They had tried some evasive maneuvers to no success, and the aliens will most definitely get through the shields this time. So Kirk offers one final chance to survive. Mira must not resist and allow the aliens to function through her. You gotta let them get all up inside you. He went full Shatner here too. Don't resist. Let them begin to function through you. If we can control that moment, we have a chance. Will you try? Very Shatner.
Yeah. She's like, okay, tell me what to do. So they're going to go to the medical lab. I guess this is a part of the lab that we've not seen before. And they're going to do something with the anti-grav test units. They head off to the medical lab, and you can see them in the hallway, like walking down the corridor in a hurry with Mira like in tow and people rushing around.
I thought this was a great sequence.
Yeah.
They're all like, everybody's scattering, and Sulu's like on the tannoy, intruder alert,
Attention.
man your stations or whatever. Yeah.
Alien force has penetrated the ship.
Hut.
You're about to be penetrated.
Oh my.
As they turn into the medical lab, we see the glowy alien lights descend on the now empty hallway. In the medical lab, they're about to put Mira into an anti-grav chamber for some reason when the glowy lights come down in the room and target her. And soon her face does the color shifting thing and the, what do we call it? Gut.
The bubble guts.
Bubble guts. And then
Scotty wants to go to her, but she's like, no, stay away, because she doesn't want to kill him.
Kirk has to like hold him back.
That's his boo, okay?
Mira says she wants to stay, but they're too powerful. And she even tries some like affirmations out loud. I am Mira Romaine. I will be who I choose to be. And again, she has to yell at Scotty to stay away because these aliens are with her and they will kill him.
Unfortunately, that self-affirmation doesn't work for too long because next thing you know, the alien is talking through her and it says, she cannot stop us. You cannot prevent it. And Scotty knows, oh no, I've lost her. And Kirk knows, okay, that's not Mira. So he goes and he introduces himself again. He's like, hey, I'm Captain James T. Kirk, and do you understand what I'm saying?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I cannot believe this shit.
The Zetar people or whoever, they like, yes, we understand you. We have searched millennia for someone through whom we can see and speak and hear and live out the rest of our lives. And so they get into this conversation about who they are. They're from one of the planets where all human life was destroyed. Kirk says, what are you? And the Zetar says that we are the desires, the hopes, and the mind and the will of the last 100 Zetar. And we were just so determined to survive that we just we couldn't die. And I think this is important here because I was like, the whole time I'm like, what is the point of this? But Kirk says all things die. And the Zetar says at the proper time, our planet was dying. We were determined to live on. And they basically just weren't ready. They weren't ready to die. And this is them not accepting their own death.
Yeah. And now they finally found a compatible body to exist in.
But then they're going to rape her and not even give her a choice.
Yeah.
So they're saying, like, Kirk is trying to, fight for Mira. And he's like, she didn't ask you. This is the body you're taking by force. And the Zetar is like, well, she will accept us.
Kirk also accuses them of murdering the people on Memory Alpha. And the aliens say, like, well, we didn't want to kill. And the mental gymnastics that they've employed to get out of being murderers is that, well, they resisted us. So it was the act of resisting that killed them, not exactly what we were doing.
Yeah, it's their fault they died.
Try that in a court of law, Zetarian.
Yeah.
For a moment, her voice changes back to her own as she says, life was given to me. It is mine. I want to live it out. But they refuse to leave her body, and her readings are changing to match theirs, indicating that she might be losing the struggle. And her voice changes back to the alien voice and says, do not fight us.
Resistance is futile.
And when Kirk insists that they will be forced to accept their own deaths, the alien says, you will all die. So...
see? You fucking murderers.
So they've got to get on with the plan already, and that involves putting her into this chamber, which at first they called an anti-grav unit, then a gravity chamber, and now a pressure chamber.
I know, make up your mind. It looks like an MRI machine, but in the wall, like in the wall. So that's what it looks like.
Yeah. Scotty assumes correctly, he's proven, that even with the alien influence, Mira wouldn't kill him. So he scoops her up and shoves her into the chamber before being thrown across the room. But he's alive enough for an "I told you so."
He's like, yeah, he's barely like sitting up, and he's like, see, I told you she wouldn't kill me. Just 'tis but a scratch.
So they close the chamber and neutralize the gravity inside. This was a fun effect. She appears to be like on her back and floating inside the chamber.
Yeah, and they
that.
go around the side, I guess, to where they can see her from the side. I would love to know how they achieved that. Did you know? Did you
No, I don't, but this is my guess. Similar to my guess on the last Planetarium episode, I think she is laying on her back on something, right? There's a plank of wood or something that runs up under her, like her costume is over that.
Okay.
Right? And so it's under her, holding her up. That's what I think. Concealed by the costume.
Okay.
I'm a podcaster, not a special effects person, so you know. Spock starts cranking up the pressure until McCoy's finally like, look, this is we might hurt her doing this. But still they press on.
They bring the pressure to 2 atmospheres. Then they increase 1 atmosphere per second. And I had to look up what atmosphere pressure was.
Uh-huh.
And it basically
get it right, or Stefan's gonna correct you.
I know. And I'm so sorry, Stefan. But I know that Earth's atmospheric pressure at sea level is 1 atmosphere.
Okay.
And then 1 atmosphere is also the pressure caused by the weight of a column of fresh water at approximately 33.8 feet. So if you had 33.8 feet of water on top of you, that's 1 atmosphere.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And so that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And that's like, I think when people get the bends, which is this thing that you get when you depressurize, you come out of the water.
We've talked about that before on this very show. Yeah.
And that chamber looks just like something that they put you in when you have the bends, because you have to your body has to gradually depressurize.
Yeah. They crank the pressure up even higher, and finally the lights leave her body. And this was a great shot too, right? So they're tight on her face, and they're zoomed into her eyeball again, and the lights appear, and then the camera pulls back from her eye. Very effective. I liked that. Speaking of effective, just a little more pressure, and the glowy lights disappear completely. McCoy pokes a button on the wall, like the one we've got in our rooms here. The little comm panel goes on the wall. And he reassures Mira that the aliens are gone. And through the viewing window, we see her kind of turn her head and smile at Scotty. Great comedic moment from Spock here. McCoy cautions Spock to reduce the pressure very gradually, and Spock says, "We may tax Mr. Scott's patience, Doctor." Kirk joins Scotty at the side window for a smile with Mira. And McCoy gets on the mic now and tells her to take deep breaths and try to relax because she'll be in there decompressing for another 20 minutes or so. Hang on. They built up the pressure from 0 to whatever shake the aliens off is in 2 minutes and 28 seconds. I counted. But it'll take 20 minutes to come back down.
Otherwise, she'll have the bends.
Right.
So
Scotty says, "Now we have all the time in the world, and we never see Mira again."
Well, at least she didn't die.
Right.
Or Scotty has not had good luck with women. So as far as we know, she's still alive.
KSM gather in McCoy's office for chair chat. Again, there's a lot of the girl in the dialogue, which I still hate, but Kirk wants to know if there will be any long-term effects on Lieutenant Romaine, and McCoy's like, that's hard to predict, but also he thinks it's encouraging that despite Starfleet's judgment of her being pliant, she put up a pretty good fight.
Gullible. So is gullible, I guess that's in your psych eval, that's something that they put in there, that you're gullible.
Yeah. Spock agrees with McCoy and thinks that her struggle in this experience probably strengthened her entire ego structure. Kirk asks if either of them would credit Scotty's steadfast belief in her as a factor. And this is where Spock and McCoy diverge.
They have to disagree on something.
Yes.
Spock thinks, I guess it's possible, but of course, McCoy chimes in.
No buts about it, Spock. It was a factor. and it will be a factor in her recovery. And he's right about that. Like having somebody, who cares for you and is looking after you, that helps.
Yeah.
Kirk's like, hang on. You both agree that she doesn't need to go to Starfleet for further treatment? And McCoy's like, no, getting back to work is probably the best thing for her. And Spock's like, logical. And Kirk's face is like, what just happened? Kirk calls up Scotty to ask how Lieutenant Romaine is. And he answers, beautiful, Captain. And Kirk's like, no. What I meant was, do you think she's fit for duty? And Scotty says, yes. So set course back to Memory Alpha. There's a lot of work to get done. And Kirk gets the last word. He says, well, this is an Enterprise first. Dr. McCoy, Mr. Spock, and Engineer Scott find themselves in complete agreement. Can I stand the strain?
Boy, I'm sure glad that's over with.
I'm happy the affair is over.
Me too.
A most annoying, emotional episode.
Yeah, but I learned something today.
When dreams become more important than reality, you give up travel, building, creating.
One jealous god, if all this makes a god.
By sparing your helpless enemy, who surely would have destroyed you, you demonstrated the advanced trait of mercy.
Frankly, I was rather dismayed by your use of the term half-breed. You must admit, it is an unsophisticated expression.
Weird.
This one big thing that stood out to me, and I don't know if this was focused on enough or not, but this episode did not make a case about a parasitic being needing a host to survive, because these aliens have clearly survived for like millennia in their non-corporeal state.
Mm-hmm.
So had this been about like their survival as a species and not just like, I want to be where the people are and feel what it's like to dance and shit.
I want to be where the people are. I know.
I think that would have been more compelling if these aliens if this had been a quest for their survival and not just, oh, we miss walking or whatever,
Right. You watch these shows that are ghost stories, where they're haunting, they're stuck, their non-corporeal form is just trying to survive. And I mean, granted, I think everything should have a chance to survive. And you're right. I don't think they focused on options for them. Kirk could say, well, let us help you figure this out, how you can survive without taking someone's life by force or taking over someone's by force.
But I don't think their survival was at risk at all.
No, they just didn't want to be in that form anymore.
Yeah.
They hadn't accepted their own death of their actual physical body.
I always like the idea that not every alien we encounter is going to be humanoid and able to speak to us through the universal translator. Having to enter the body of another being in order to communicate, or beings that communicate through light, which this episode could have done that too. It could have been the flashing of the lights that communicates, or we talked about this with Dr. Noor about the likelihood of meeting other life that even remotely resembles anything on Earth.
Yeah.
And this is a good example of that. I liked that. Where this episode let me down, as usual, the pressure chamber didn't kill the aliens, right?
Well, we don't know.
Yeah.
Did we know?
So they just fucked off somewhere else?
We don't know if they killed them or not.
And if they didn't kill them, then they're just going to go keep trouncing through the galaxy doing it again. Right. Either we just killed them, which is never dealt with, or we just let them go on their way, which is also never dealt with.
Right. And I think we both probably concur where it also let us down was the whole patronizing of Mira.
Yes.
Of treating her 1 minute, yes, she's a lieutenant, but also treating her as just a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Just a girl with space sickness. Don't take her symptoms seriously.
Right. Yeah, I hated that so much, because what does that say about how they respect or not respect her as her specialty, as in her, in her work as a library specialist or whatever she is,
They totally did not.
No. Scotty's deep in love and we never see her again. Do we drop her off on Memory Alpha and go on the next adventure without her? Is she still serving aboard the Enterprise somewhere for the last 6 episodes and we just don't see her? These are the things that let me down. Tie some damn loose threads, will ya? Okay, my final thought then is, and this is not a humanist theme, but I'll impart this knowledge to the universe. If you're gonna fuck your coworkers, be chill about it.
Or don't fuck your coworkers.
Right.
Don't shit where you eat. Isn't that the thing?
Yeah. Well, now then it's time to honor the dead.
Yeah, I had a lame, this is kind of lame.
Okay.
Undetermined number of people died in this episode. Wrote a rhyme about it. Want to hear it? Here it goes.
It's dead, Jim.
We are assembled here today to pay final respects to our honored dead.
Memory Alpha, a place for cultural storage, visited by the sparkly death cloud. Everyone died of a brain hemorrhage. I'm sorry, this is lame. I'm so lame. So sorry.
Man.
That was it.
Well, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Let's get right to business.
Fine, I'm authorized to pay an equitable price. Federation has invested a great deal of money in our training. They're about due for a small return.
Listen, we pay our percentages. We're entitled to a little service for our money, huh?
Is this the way your citizens do business? Their right of petition?
They pay their percentages and the boss takes care of them.
Is there anything else?
All right. We want to thank all of our patrons and everybody who supports the show, but we especially want to thank our founding admirals. A special thanks to Russell, Allie, Peter, Sarah, and Sherry. And this week, Allie, we have 2 new ensigns joining our ranks. A big welcome aboard to Eric and Stefan. And Stefan, you know, as he's been assigned to the science division.
Yay, Stefan.
Eric, Stefan,
and yay, Eric.
Welcome aboard. Thanks so much for becoming patrons. We're excited to get to know you all better over in the Patreon.
Yeah.
Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. Resistance is futile, but your cooperation in leading reviews is anticipated. Your individual opinions will be collected and added to our collective database. You will comply. Assimilation into our Atheon collective grants you early access to episodes and a trove of bonus content assimilated from across the podcasting continuum. Locate your designated patron node at patreon.com/humanisttrek to assist in furthering our assimilation efforts across the galaxy and ensure the propagation of humanist Trek knowledge throughout the collective. Resistance is futile. Your assimilation into the Humanist Trek collective is inevitable. Proceed accordingly.
I assume you're loitering around here to learn what efficiency rating I plan to give your cadets.
Trainees, to the briefing room. Is that all you gotta say? What about my performance?
Aren't you dead?
I don't believe this was a fair test of my command abilities. There was no way to win.
There's no correct resolution. It's a test of character.
Now, what is that supposed to mean?
I am understandably curious.
May I ask you a question?
Who's been holding up the damn elevator?
Becca's back now with the answer to last week's Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge. Last time on Humanist Trek, you asked us,
what legendary ventriloquist co-wrote this episode?
And I knew that it was Shari Lewis.
Correct. You didn't at first.
No, I didn't. You
Took
helped.
you a minute.
Well, I don't know. Did you help? I don't remember it at all.
No, not really. No, I didn't. I don't think
No,
I
I
did.
think it just came to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like, wait a minute, I know that. Because I wasn't gonna. I had no intention of helping because I was like, if you don't know this, it's your own damn
I'm a
fault.
bad Star Trek fan. Is that
No,
take away my fan card?
No, you're a bad 90s kid.
Okay.
80s kid, whatever year it was. Yeah, so it was ventriloquist Shari Lewis, best known for her characters Lamb Chop, Charlie Horse, and Hush Puppy, co-wrote this episode with her husband, Jeremy Tarcher.
Oh, I didn't know it was her husband.
Yeah.
Okay.
She also lobbied to be cast as a guest role of Lieutenant Romaine, but was denied the part.
Allie told me about that in our discussion of the episode. All right, next week we'll be reviewing Star Trek, the original series, Season 3, Episode 19, Requiem for Methuselah. Kirk and crew meet an immortal human named Flint. I have no idea what this episode is about. I don't. And the thumbnail on Paramount Plus is like Kirk with this week's Star Trek sex object playing pool, like billiard at a billiard hall or something. Do you remember this one at all?
Nope. Doesn't sound familiar at all.
Great. What's our question for Requiem for Methuselah?
Well, it wouldn't be low-budget original Trek without some prop recycling.
Oh, okay.
The undercarriage of Flint's robot M4 is a reused portion of what from which previous episode? If you can name the episode, you get a point. If you can name what it was used as in the episode, you get another point.
I'm tempted to say M5 computer because you said M4. It makes me think M5. So I'm tempted to say that. It's got to be one of these, like,
or she could be just fucking with you and giving you a red herring.
Do you remember Nomad? The floaty robot thing? That
right.
Could have been that. There were so many, like, computers out of control taking over things. It could have been any of them.
I'm trying to... The undercarriage, like, meaning...
Okay, so maybe it's Nomad, and they took the top part of it off?
The base of it.
Yeah, the base of it.
I guess. But undercarriage is like...
What episode was that Nomad? That was... Because I want... If I get it right, I want both points.
Definitely season 2.
Oh, season 2?
Wasn't it season 2? Do we need to have the episode?
No, you don't need it. We get a point for each, though. Okay, I'm going to say Nomad. And I wish I remembered the episode.
The undercarriage. It was reused. What would be good to reuse?
Oh, what was the one where Kirk had to sneak past the Romulans or something to get a computer device thingy? The cloaking thing? I don't remember. I'm blaming this all on COVID brain, by the way. I'm saying that my memory... I don't know what
my excuse is.
My memory has been affected by COVID.
I don't buy that for a minute. I know you.
I'll say that's undercarriage. Something small enough to be an undercarriage. I think I like the Nomad was the little floaty guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I'll go with Nomad.
All right. Well, if you'd like to play along, you know how to do that. Head over to your nearest social media app, share this episode with the hashtag Starfleet Challenge, and include your answer, and we will pick out our favorite. Next time on Humanist Trek, Star Trek, the original series, Season 3, Episode 19, Requiem for Methuselah.
Diftor hef smoosma.
Kapla!
Humanist Trek is available wherever you replicate your podcast. Follow us on all the social medias at Humanist Trek. Become a patron at patreon.com/humanisttrek. Open hailing frequencies to podcast@humanisttrek.com and visit our website, humanisttrek.com. Humanist Trek is a production of Sarah Austin Media.